Hello, once again. Welcome to Supply Chain Notes. Today, we shall be looking at what is supply chain management. You realize that supply chain management is made up of supply, chain, and management. To understand the whole concept, we have to understand each word individually. Supply. Now, supply means to make something available to someone. What that means is that a giver is at one end and a receiver is at the other. So, a giver makes something available to someone. That something could be tangible or intangible. If it is tangible, it could be a product, but if it is intangible, it could be a service. That someone who is receiving the tangible or intangible item could be you, the end user, or an organization or a company. When an end user receives a product, the supply chain ends. Why? Because consumption takes place there. But when a company or an organization receives a product, the supply chain continues. Why? Because value is expected to be added to the product. Let's look at a chain. A chain is a linked or connected series of objects. We could realize this in our common products, our necklaces or dog chains. You realize they are called chains because they are connected rings. Now, what does this mean? It means a supply chain is a chain of supplies or a chain of supplies. A supply chain can be defined as a group of interconnected companies that add value to a flow of inputs from their original source to the final output. Take note of the word interconnected. Just as we saw in the chains, one company represents a ring, the other represents another ring. Now, when these two companies are connected in the flow of inputs from an original source, they form a chain of suppliers. Let's look at the supply chain of a coffee shop, for instance. You enter the coffee shop and request for a cup of coffee. But before the product coffee is formed in your cup, a farmer somewhere has to produce the raw materials. The coffee beans are brought from the farmland. Sugarcane is produced from a farmland. The cow is reared on a farmland. These raw materials are acquired by companies and further processed into semi-finished goods. Coffee beans are converted to coffee powder. Sugarcane are converted to cube sugars or grounded sugar. The cow is prepared for milking, which is later poured in your coffee. All these items are made available to your coffee vendor. Your coffee vendor makes a coffee from the coffee powder, the cube sugars, and the milk, which finally ends in your cup being delivered to you. Now, what is management? Management is a process of planning. Planning what? Planning where, which suppliers to deal with, or where to get your inputs from. Decision making, deciding on which company exactly to deal with. Organizing your resources and controlling your resources, mainly human, financial, physical, and information resources, on an organization to reach its goals in an efficient and effective manner. Now, when and with the understanding of these three words, we can combine them and we have supply chain management. So, what is supply chain management? Supply chain management is the process of managing the flow of goods and services, as well as all processes that are engaged in converting the raw materials into the finished output. So, when we take our minds back to the coffee example, we realize that there were flows of goods: the coffee beans, sugar cane, and the cow milk. And at your vendor, these products were processed to form the final output, a drink of coffee. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel for more information and education materials on supply chain.